Listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
Don't go chasing waterfalls. Please stick to the rivers and the lakes that you're used to. I know that you're gonna have it your way or nothing at all, but I think you're moving too fast.
10:32 right back here on the 16th day of June. It is a Friday morning in the heart of the River Bend, and coming up on Thursdays from 10 a.m. to 11:15 a.m., How Al-Anon Works meetings. Now, this is something that we previewed a little bit ago, and Shirley S. is on the line now. Shirley, good morning and happy Friday to you.
Hi, CJ. I hope you're doing well.
I'm hanging in there. You know, every time I say I'm doing well, something bad happens. So I just keep on moving, you know? Well, this is, to me, Shirley, in all seriousness, this is an amazing support group because I know so many people that are affected by a family member of theirs battling alcoholism and substance abuse, and very rarely are there support groups for them. And this is an amazing opportunity for so many. How did this come about?
Al-Anon's been around since 1951, and it's been a group to help families and friends of alcoholics, moms, dads, friends, children. Alcoholism affects just about anyone who has an alcohol, and most of us can't get any relief in our lives unless we get some type of help, either spiritually or physically. And we often become irritable and resentful, whether we know it or not. And all we can do is change our attitudes and our actions and seek help. So hopefully I've said a little bit about Al-Anon, and I'll tell you about our event that's coming up. Starting next Thursday, we're going to have an Al-Anon informational meeting leading into Al-Anon meetings every Thursday, 10 a.m. to 11:15. We're calling ourselves How Al-Anon Works, and we're located at St. Anthony's Healthcare Center. We're going to be on the 3rd floor in the 3 West training room. So when you get to the health center, you can park for free in the hospital lot. There's also valet services. Some of us might need that. And you just go in the main entrance, take elevator 3 to the 3rd floor, and the meeting room is to the immediate right. Okay. I met Stacy. She's the manager of psychological services there at St. Anthony's Health Center. And some of my friends and I who were working a health fair there last month, we were working it for my group as participants, my Monday Morning Hope for Today Al-Anon group. And we met Stacy, and she talked to us about starting an Al-Anon group there at St. Anthony's Health Center. And I told her that I had some experience in outreach, and I knew the process of providing informational groups to institutions such as a hospital. Well, Stacy was so excited, and her excitement is contagious. She was, yeah.
So is that kind of what, that excitement and that collaboration, is that really what helped give this the jolt to life it needed?
Yes, definitely. Stacy was going to see that an Al-Anon meeting started at the St. Anthony's Center. No matter what the hurdles might be, she just really put her ideas out there. And I have to give her all the credit for inspiring our group to share the hope of Al-Anon with the community and the patrons of St. Anthony's Health Center. So we're really excited about that.
Without a doubt. And, I think it's fantastic that an organization like OSF Healthcare is collaborating with you on this. I'm sure it helps, your guys' mission immensely to have that big organization giving you that support.
Definitely. All the kudos to Stacy, because she was the inspiration to this project. And, she's a great motivator.
Absolutely. And Shirley, if you don't mind me asking, I read a little bit on how you got, started into Al-Anon. And if you could you share that with our audience?
Um, Definitely. I have different stories, but this one starts from the beginning. My husband and I were at a biker party, and I was a biker then.
Mm.
And a girl with beads and crimped hair came up, and she asked me if she could pray with us. Well, we did, and then she asked me if I wanted to go to a book study. Well, I have trouble saying no. And back then I was so dependent, I couldn't say no. So I went with her to a small church, and the book that they were having the study from was called The New Life Recovery Bible. Well, I only went a few times to the group because it was on Fridays, and so was my favorite show, Undercover Boss.
You know what? I can connect to that so much so. If my show's on, it is hard to get me off the couch. So you're having a little bit of a scheduling conflict with Undercover Boss and your show and this group. How are you able to
Right.
keep developing down that road?
Well, one story in the group told of a man who was chained in caves that had graves in them. This was in Bible times. And he broke his chains every night, and he was howling and beating his head and cutting himself on the sharp rocks. And I said, doesn't everyone do that? I meant, doesn't everyone feel like that?
Right.
But when I said, everyone do that, the people all stared at me and said, no, in unison.
Wow.
And then I was wondering, why not? Why not? Why don't they feel that way? And then a girl turned to me and she said, you need Al-Anon. Well, 4 years later, I called the service offices in Virginia Beach and asked about a meeting. The first meeting I went to, it just wasn't for me, but I found other groups, and I received encouragement all along the way. So it is a journey. Some groups work better than others. You just need to find the fit. So, you can try several different groups.
And not to cut you off, Shirley, but how important is it to really find that connecting piece in one of these support groups? Because I can only imagine, that first meeting or the first time someone goes, it has to be pretty uncomfortable or a little nerve-wracking. Is there a little bit of advice for someone who's thinking about going to your meetings that is kind of a little hesitant?
Oh, yes. A lot of people are hesitant. I was. And you're in a family situation where the alcoholic gets all the attention and usually is controlling. So I told my husband I was going to a book study, and I started in the Al-Anon program. Some people say they're going to a Weight Watchers type of study, or different programs. So sometimes we let on at first like we're doing something else, and then eventually we share that we're going to a type of self-help group. That's another excuse, going to a self-help group. But then we let on that we are going to Al-Anon, and it was hard for me because my husband didn't think he was an alcoholic.
Right.
He was downright determined that he wasn't an alcoholic. And even, I would hear him say a lot, like, I'm not an alcoholic. I've got a job. I pay my bills. I've got a house and a beautiful family. And I understand that that's quite common, that alcoholics will say that. So the women don't know what's going on a lot of times. And the men who have wives and the children, of course, they don't know what's going on because this prominent figure in their life doesn't think that there's a problem.
Well, absolutely. And with that being said, can you take us through your first kind of when you knew that this support group was right for you? How did that feel? How long did it take too?
It did take a few months. The first meeting I went to, I didn't feel like I was welcomed. Like healthy meetings, they make a lot of the first meeting all about you. And thanks for coming. We're glad you're here. We'd like to tell you a little bit about our program. Those are the types of meetings that you want to go to, like where they acknowledge you, welcome you, and are open to giving you additional information. For example, my first meeting, I don't know what was going on. I don't even remember them saying the steps or anything like that, or welcome me whatsoever. This is my first meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Some girl started right in about talking about, I guess, her husband or something. And she was using his name. And I said, who's that? And then a lot of people jumped on me and said, no crosstalk. I'm sorry, I don't mean to put Al-Anon down. This was a long time. And no crosstalk. But I stuck in with the meeting, getting some experience and hearing a lot of things. And I went to that meeting and another one in the same place. And you know what? They folded. So healthy meetings don't fold.
No, they don't.
And this was an unhealthy meeting. So there's a big difference. You can tell because they weren't welcoming. They talked about the alcoholic as opposed to talking about themselves. There was erratic attendance. And finally, it was just me going. And, I don't want to say anything bad, but then I found another meeting that had been in existence for 60 years.
Wow. Wow. Well, and Shirley, you bring up a fantastic point because for me, seriously, if I would have gone through that and had an unhealthy, support group, it would have been very hard for me to, make another appearance at another group. Was that difficult for you?
Definitely. I did have some support along the way with individuals who would talk to me and, people would give you their phone number. So if you could talk to an individual, like I called a girl, I was out in my truck and the meeting wasn't there. So I called a girl and she took a long time explaining to me about alcoholism and how it was a disease and an illness. And I had no idea about this. And she took me through this and gave me a better feeling of, hey, I might be doing the right thing, just at the wrong place.
Yeah. And now, whenever you went to that healthy group, could you see it right away on just how important the group was whenever you finally got into that right situation?
Oh, definitely. A girl asked me to go, and I don't know how that came about, but I rode with her to the meeting. It was a few miles from my house, right? A few being many. And I the meeting with her, and I noticed right away that people were glad to be there. They welcomed me. They explained a little bit about the program. They had a welcome and they read the 12 steps, which I had no idea about the steps. And it was a great way to look at myself as opposed to gossiping about the alcoholic. So I saw this was a healthy meeting when it was about me improving myself and getting out of that misery, which is living in the family disease of alcoholism. So a healthy meeting greets you. They explain to you, they might have a newcomer's welcome. Mm-hmm. And they also have a great welcome. They go over the 12 steps, which is the ladder to help you succeed in Al-Anon and build your self-esteem. And the last step is being able to share Al-Anon with others. And I'm blessed that I have this ability and my group has this ability to share, our experience, strength, and hope. And it was just a really wonderful group. Sometimes you come in and people are laughing and having fun. You're thinking, I'm miserable. Why is it like this? But it seems as the meetings go on, you get a chance to cry a little if you're a newcomer. You listen, you enjoy the meeting, but your head's saying, hey, this works for me, but my life is like this. And, I've seen it a lot of times, and I'm sure I did it a few times, crying at that meeting, getting that help and that friendship.
Well, and that's actually a perfect segue. because I could only imagine, when someone's going through watching their loved one battle alcoholism, there's a lot of pent up emotion I could just imagine. And to be able to finally have that relief of knowing at least I can at least get this out, that's got to be a feeling like no other.
Oh, you bet. Because we keep it to ourselves. We are often isolated. I know I was so miserable living with a few alcoholics in my home, and I was just so miserable. I quit my high-paying job to stay home with those alcoholics.
Oh,
I mean, because you're codependent.
yeah.
And it's just really a hard thing to do. Your whole personality turns where it's based on them, like their wants. And I'd say their wants, not always their needs, but their needs are alcohol, maybe other drugs. But your whole life evolves around their wants.
Without a doubt. And Shirley, before we circle back to the details of this informational meeting, I wanted to ask you, if you could reflect on, how things have been going for you since, after all these, Al-Anon meetings that you've been to from start to finish, how has your life been, altered by this in a positive way?
Oh, that's definitely the word for it. Positive. My life was isolated, not really going anywhere. I had quit my high-paying career to stay home with the alcoholics. It just has changed by leaps and bounds. I'm more spiritual now, which is not necessarily religious, but I have a higher power, so my power is not just me. So that makes me feel great because I have no control over anyone, over what happens, the people, places, and things we say. So I have no control, so I can just be me and enjoy my life. So I'm sorry, hon.
Oh, no, keep going. I didn't mean to cut you off.
It just brings to mind some slogans that we have that keep us on track, like one day at a time. And it's so true. Why worry about the future so much? You have to plan for the future and, have material goods you need in the future. But one day at a time helps us survive alcoholism. I know my alcoholic was alive quite a bit of the time that I was in Al-Anon. And one thing that happens is as you improve yourself and learn about yourself, your family changes because they respect you more when you're respecting yourself.
That's a very great point.
That's a very noticeable point, definitely. So my complete life changed as I became more positive. I respected myself. I wasn't afraid to go places like I was isolated before and controlled by the alcoholics in my life. And it just opened up a whole new world. And now I'm not afraid to go anywhere at any time of the day, think that I'm going to, be chastised for it. So that's one thing to learn.
I am so grateful for that insight, Shirley. And right before I let you go, I wanted to make sure we circle back to these meetings because they are highly important. So the first one is this upcoming Thursday, June the 22nd, correct?
Yes, this upcoming Thursday, and I'm so excited about it. And I know Stacy's probably even more excited than I am. She is just such a wonderful, wonderful person. And I'm happy that she contacted us about starting Al-Anon there in the facility.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be an informational meeting this coming Thursday, which means we'll be talking about what Al-Anon is. And we'll have like a little Al-Anon meeting, but it will be more informational than the meetings that are going to be after that will be more sharing. And I have a woman who's going to give her testimony, and she's been in Al-Anon almost 50 years.
Wow.
And
oh, wow.
So come on down for that.
That's incredible. And now, can you give us the details of this again, how we can get there? Is there any way, there's no registration, correct?
No, anyone can come. Parents, children, anyone can come to this meeting. And it's for family and friends of problem drinkers, but anyone can come to this meeting. And we're going to share some experience, strength, and hope because we've been through this and many of us have a similar problem. So it's at 10 to 11 a.m. every Thursday, starting this coming Thursday. And it'll be at OSF Health Center and St. Anthony's Health Center. And that's on St. Anthony's Way for those driving. And then once you get there, we're on the 3rd floor. So you have to take elevator 3.
Okay.
So elevator 3 to the 3rd floor. And it's called 3 West Training Room. And so you get off the elevator and it's an immediately right. There's a hall with the door just to the right.
Well, that seems really a nice little, it seems pretty easy to find that room. And once again, that's on 1 St. Anthony's Way, OSF Healthcare, St. Anthony's Health Center, 3 West Training Room. You have to take elevator 3 to get there. And is there any other details you'd like to get out before we let you go for now?
Just about the parking, because I think this is really important anytime I give an informational meeting, that there's specific directions. We know to take elevator 3 to the 3rd floor, find the meeting room to the immediate right. But I think parking's really important because it's free parking in front of the hospital, and there's valet services too, which, you know, if you have trouble with stairs, mm-hmm. or have trouble walking, there's no stairs. But if you have some type of, you know, something that interferes with walking a little distance from your car to the building, how much better than a valet service?
No kidding. I was thinking the same thing. I mean, you're making it easy for everybody. And so that's great. So they can use the valet and have it taken care of that way as well, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely.
Well, Shirley, I hope this first informational meeting goes well for you. And if I can be of any help keeping to spread the message about this very important group, Al-Anon, I'd be more than happy to do so.
Oh, thank you, CJ. I'm going to leave a number. This is the psychological department number. And just in case someone gets lost that first day, we would love to have them be able to join us. The number is 618-474-6240. And that's the psychological services number there at St. Anthony's. And then I also want to, I know I have a little minute here, give some information about how to find Al-Anon meetings. One is our World Service Office. They're located in Virginia Beach. And now we have this miraculous thing called the internet. And they're at alanon.org.
That's awesome. And you know, it's really great too, Shirley, that there's so much technology to really keep people connected. And we'll do our best over here at RiverBender.com to keep raising awareness on this. And like I said, if you ever need anything from me, I'm just a phone call away.
I appreciate that, CJ.
Thank you very much for your time, Shirley, and the best of luck ahead of Thursday.
I appreciate that. You have a nice day.
You too. It is 10:55 on this Friday morning in the heart of the Riverbend. We'll take a quick break and wrap up our daily show next after this.